I'm Corbett Wall with USDA Market News, here with your weekly feeder and stocker cattle market summary for the week ending March the 28th, where you had feeder and stocker cattle selling unevenly steady to $3 higher. For the most part, your markets just defied that bearish cattle on feed report that came out last Friday, as even your cash markets were early first thing Monday morning, and your CME feeder futures were still quite a bit higher on Monday, which was really surprising, and they continued strong right through the rest of the week there. But some cash markets were a little bit weaker this week, and that brings in your unevenly steady there. And actually, the ones that showed the weakness the most were actually your highest demanded cattle and your most popular weights of stockers, because the sticker shock on some of the price levels that were reached last week kind of hit home on some of those stocker cattle and caused some of these buyers to back off a little bit. Also, you had some more new crop calves coming in, and those soft new crops that are coming in at some of the same weights as those stocker type cattle, stretching out the price spread on those and pulling your average price back a little bit. And in your 6-weight steers in the south central region and your 5-weight steers in the southeast region, which would be most popular right now for turning out stocker cattle, both of those were slightly lower this week. But still, a 600-pound steer near the major grazing areas is going to cost you $2 plus. That's really what everybody's going for to turn out on grass this summer, is a 600-pound steer. And perhaps we might could still squeeze a profit out of those if we can get them bought for less than $1,300 a head and get our grass rent for less than $100 a head and keep the rest of your freight and expenses down. And if those cattle really gain good and press down hard on the scales come late this summer or fall, whenever you decide to take them off grass, they could still squeeze a profit out of there to hedge right now. But it's looking like that yearlings could get even higher. This hog deal is really starting to show signs that it's going to help your feeder cattle market and your fat cattle market too. Some of these analysts are projecting the early fall slaughter hog supplies to be down 15 to 25%, which would be huge, and actually let this all-time record high beef that we're making have an advantage in the meat case, for fall grilling. Your hogs and pigs report come out on Friday here, and your total hogs and pigs inventory was down 3%. Your winter crop of pigs was down 3%. Doesn't really look like the PED virus has really set in, as far as we can tell on the hogs and pigs report. But your fat cattle are mostly $2 higher this week, selling from $150 to $154, a lot of $152 and $154. So gaining ground there in a time where normally we see a little bit of weakness. But regional weighted averages this week in the north central states, an 8-weight steer cost you $170.205 compared to $168.58 last week and $130.54 a year ago. Down the south central states, a 7-weight steer cost you $177.06 compared to $175 even last week and $136.36 a year ago. And in the southeast, a little 4-weight steer calf cost you $217.42 compared to $214.89 last week and $159.53 a year ago. That wraps up your feeder and stocker cattle market summary for this week. Check out our website for more market information at marketnews.usda.gov. From the Regional Market News Office in St. Joe, Missouri, we'll talk to you next week.